Under the same roof, we share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now do we stand in love's pure might, watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. Now do we stand in love's pure might.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching the world. We had quite the explosive day in regards to attending the Nicolás Maduro trial. Well, basically, it's not a trial yet, but it's the beginning of the process. His arraignment started today. We started the day off quite early. I reached out to my line sitter, and she told me we were number 32 in line. Can you imagine that? I knew it would be nearly impossible to get into the courthouse, but lo and behold, all of those 31 people in front of us were the media. And so when you attend the federal courthouse in New York City, they mix in the line with the media as well as the public. So by the time we cleared out all of the media, I was number one in line. I didn't even realize I was going to the main courthouse until I actually walked into the courtroom, and I saw basically a packed out environment full of DEA officers, and they were ready and able to respond to any type of threat for such a momentous day that we had. Now, I will tell you that as I sat into the courtroom, and I could hear them releasing the chains from Maduro and perhaps even his wife. And that was the first time I actually heard that. When I attended Sean Diddy Combs' trial for those 9 weeks, I never heard the chains come off of his hands in any way. Now, already I'm sitting about 4 rows, I would say, behind where Maduro would be sitting. And basically, I'm sitting with individuals from Venezuela, and some of them are already in tears. Yeah, already in tears. And so, in my mind, I'm a little skeptical about the media. And that's why I do what I do, because I want to go in and come back and tell you guys the things that I pretty much see and hear, right? So, you guys are going to hear it tonight. I have to tell you some things that you might not want to hear about this particular case. This might be quite shocking to you, but I will be judicious in what I say because this is an active case. It's very intense, but I want you guys to understand bit by bit what occurred today, because I think it's very important, especially when it comes to what the United States do on a grand scale. But don't fool yourself. If you don't think what happened to Maduro cannot happen to you, if you F around and find out, you do not want to mess around with Donald Trump. In fact, today I saw various videos where Donald Trump is telling the president of Colombia, I've been to Colombia before, he says, hey, you're going to be next. If you keep playing around, you're going to be next too, right? Some of the reporters are asking Donald Trump, what are we going to do with all these barrels of oil? We're going to keep them and the money, right? Donald Trump says, yeah, that's right. And also Greenland, Cuba, all of these places people are actually bringing up because they wonder, will they be next on the list when it comes to Donald Trump? So we have Brian Cantrell here. We have Stella holding things down. Stella says, like, share, and subscribe, and turn on your notifications to be notified for the upcoming shows. Brian says, hello, my friends Mel, Stella, Uncommon. Uncommon is here. All right. Thank you guys so much. Puff says, Venezuela won't be smuggling drugs into the U.S. anymore. that ends up in the black community. Thank you, President Trump. Okay, a lot of people feel that way. We're going to get to it. But first, I want to put you guys in the mood. I want you to understand what I saw. After I heard the change, right? I'm looking around. I had a chance to go use the bathroom. But after I heard the change and I'm talking to some of the individuals from Venezuela, here comes Maduro. He steps out and his wife in tow. Now, when he walks out, now I'm used to seeing, now I attended Donald Trump's trial. And when I attended his trial, each day that I saw him, he walked out looking really sad. He wasn't happy at all. Donald Trump would predominantly sleep most of the day from what I could see sitting behind him in the courtroom. And because Donald Trump was not locked up when he obtained those 34 felonies, he would actually walk into the courtroom and out through the same doors that we would too, right? As spectators. And so he would walk right past me and I'd get a chance to, observe the former president at that time. Now, at that particular time, he was not the president and they were trying to put the screws to him. And lo and behold, the man came back um, as he approached the courthouse to receive his sentencing. He had already won the presidency. Can you imagine that? So now the judge is facing the future and the president again. And not only that, Donald Trump also had taken a shot to the ear, all of that to become the president. Now, I say all of this to say with Maduro, I saw something quite different. When he walked into the courtroom today, he was actually smiling and he looked toward the back to where we're sitting and he's saying, Happy New Year. The guy had such a presidential approach. He did not seem like he was fully in the moment of being a captive of the United States military and sitting in the federal courthouse, right? So I found that to be quite shocking. Now, a lot of us had to snap out of it because, he approached the subject as though he's some sort of saint or man of God, right? We had this discussion in court and we did not fail to realize some of the things that I heard from the people sitting next to me that he's capable of doing and the things that he has done. All right. So I'm going to just take a moment from this story and I'm going to give you guys a little tidbit of a little lady. This lady stopped me in the streets today. And I want you to notice what she has to say about Maduro. Let's get to it. Well, let's see here. Let's go back. All right. All right, let's see what we have here. Maduro out. Okay. Thank you.
The popular people is hungry, no have food, no have only chicken 1 month after 1 month.
Really?
Only rice, 1 pound like this. After how many?
So she stopped me to tell me, right, show me her sign, but she also wanted to say that Maduro was starving the people out and they only get a little chicken over the month and they get a little rice. That's what she's conveying to me at this point. Listen in.
Months. It's not nice. He's very heavy, he's chubby, very nice. The popular people, well.
So she's saying he's really heavy, very nice and sturdy guy, and everybody else is starving. This is a random lady that stopped me on the street to tell me her story. Listen.
Listen to you. He need to pay something yet.
Oh my.
This. I know Venezuela. I am Peru. But I have a lot of friends Venezuela.
She said he needs to pay attention.
Good Venezuela. This is not nice. You make a freedom.
Oh, thank you for your time. Watching the world. Thank you so much. So, did you hear that? She reminds us of why Maduro is actually in court along with his wife with various allegations. We're going to get to the 4 counts that he's charged with. But before we get to that point, I want to continue to set the stage In this particular case, we have the judge, and he actually made the comment. He's a short fella, a short judge, and he made the statement that when you're short and they have all the, laptops and things in front of you, it's hard for people to actually see the judge. But he looks like he's well seasoned, and he came across as being a listener. And I found him to be, quite interesting compared to other judges that I've seen, like in the case of Donald Trump. His judge was more contentious. Even with Diddy, his judge was only on the bench for 2 years, but he seemed to be like a scholar, very book sharp guy. But he was a little snappy. Over the last month, I've been attending Luigi Mangione's hearing for 3 weeks in the state courthouse. This Friday, I'll be in court for Luigi Mangione to cover his federal case in the same courthouse that I was in today for Maduro. But at any rate, the judge took the stand, and I'm going to go over some other footage of individuals from Venezuela. I know some of you have requested to hear from the Venezuelan people. So I have quite a bit of footage to go over with you of what they have to say about their country, because it's hard to decipher what people really think, especially when we listen to the media here and people are liable to tell you anything that they want to, and they just feed you nonsense sometimes. Okay. So the judge basically started off by saying what his job was in this whole arrangement is, and basically was to get to justice and to get to the bottom of this whole situation when it comes to Maduro. Stanley says, Mel, you're doing a great job. Thanks for giving us your best. Thank you very much. Nice to hear that from you, Stanley. So the judge, in addressing Maduro, now I will tell you he's quite the guy because he was pushing back. We had a lot of testy moments in court because Maduro does not back down. You could tell he's a man having great means and having great power. Although the attorneys that he has, public defendants, hopefully, I guess in his regard, he would be able to hire some attorneys because for this type of case, they're going to try to snow him in. They're going to try to cook him and cook his lunch too. So, just as a defendant, I would imagine that he's going to try to step that up in some regard. That's only wise for anybody. Now, I did not pull up the actual charges. I'm going off of the notes that I took in court. Just to give you an idea of what these charges are. Number one, basically, the judge mentioned, the date. He says that in these charges that I'm going to break down for Nicolás Maduro, his wife, Cilia Flores, she has the exact same charges, no different, right? And I'm going to tell you how they pled. We're going to get into all of that tonight. But basically, the judge says count number one, he conspired with others. And there were some other Hispanic names that I won't dare to try to butcher, right? But they were manufacturer and distributing D-rugs. We're not going to say the actual word because it's not YouTube friendly. I'm going to keep trying to say D-rugs, right? And terrorism and terrorist activities. So you have that conspiracy, almost like the RICO, right? You can't get around that. Well, we saw Sean Diddy Combs. He got around the RICO charge. But when they put conspiracy on you, it's kind of like carbon monoxide. You don't even know what's hitting you because they throw this large umbrella over you, and it's very hard to beat that. But we have seen it happen with the strong legal team like Sean Diddy Combs has. So count number one basically is conspiracy to manufacture and distribute D-rugs and terrorism and terroristic activity. So this is the first charge. Now, these are my notes. When you research it, you can get it more refined. I'll post the real solid charges, but I'm just taking quick notes in court just so you guys can get an idea, a makeshift idea of what was being said, okay? Number two was cocaine importation, okay? And conspiracy again, importation of a controlled substance, and guess what? Dig this. Shipping cocaine to the United States. I wonder if it's the 2C. You guys know what 2C is? 2C is that pink cocaine that you see. It's mostly like a party drug. We heard about it in Sean Diddy Combs' case as being a drug of high demand of some sort when it came to his trial. Number three was possession of machine guns and the distribution of destructive devices, aiding and abetting. So basically, you're painting this narrative, right, of cocaine activity and also these heavy artillery. He's moving a lot of drugs, as they say in the street. He's moving a lot of weight. He's moving kilos or what have you, right? And also, he has machine guns. They kept saying distinctly machine guns. Number four is conspiracy, machine gun, and destructive devices. Okay, so basically that's the shell of it. We'll get the actual charges. I'm taking notes in court, amongst other things, trying to see the responses of Maduro, his wife. And I will tell you something that was heartbreaking to me, and I hope I don't get myself in trouble by saying this. But one thing I observed about Maduro's wife is that her face was battered. And I did know that they requested medical help, and you won't hear this probably in the media, but they requested some type of medical assistance from through the judge because I guess they think maybe she has some fractured rib, something to that sort that they want to investigate. So evidently, either she fell really hard or maybe she was roughed up in some sort of way. The scarring on her face was almost like a fight with Mike Tyson. That's what it looked like to me. Uh, Throughout the court case today, she was always sitting facing the judge. But when she turned around, it's almost like that episode of Martin when he was boxing someone and got into a fight and he had all those lumps on his head. I forget what episode that was, but that's what it immediately took me to remind. Okay. So here's where it gets a little tricky. Maduro, now keep in mind, I told you this guy, when the pressure is on, I mean, he's taking on the crucible. He's walking out like the president, telling everybody, looking. I mean, he was making eye contact with us saying, Happy New Year. Can you imagine that? I was not expecting that. Actually, I was going to be happy to go into the overflow room today. That's the additional courtrooms where you're able to just watch on the TV screen. But today I was the first one in line and I was the first inside the courtroom from the public standpoint. Okay. Now, Maduro basically says that I'm the president of Venezuela. So this is how it basically went down. The judge asked him if he was guilty or not guilty. Because they're using a certified translator and the judge can't really understand what he's saying, typically the judge wants you to say yes or no, right? Or guilty or not guilty. But because you have that whole fixture of a translator, Maduro is going on in Spanish, right? He's just going on and on. And so once that gets translated to the judge, this is basically roughly, loosely what he's saying. He says, I'm the president of Venezuela. I'm here. Listen, I'm here kidnapped since Saturday. So he's throwing that out there. And that's how in Sean Diddy Combs' case, I think he was able to win at a large level. Because once the cat is out the bag, I think that's one of the terms they use, the attorneys use in court. Once the cat is out the bag, people can't unhear. So a lot of times the lawyers will say things or ask certain questions that they know they shouldn't, but they want the jury to hear these points, right? So with Maduro saying these things, how he was kidnapped, right, since Saturday, I was captured at my home. I am Nicolás Maduro. And he says, let's see, I have it in my hand for the very first time. Oh, okay. So, and then he started to explain in regards to the indictment that this is the first time that he had it in his hand. So I was shaken pretty much, when just to hear him say, listen, I'm the president of Venezuela, and the Venezuelan people don't have a president right now. Okay. And he's saying, I was kidnapped in my home, right? So he's saying he used so many different phrases to really coin that he was taken against his will, and he's really the president. In fact, throughout this process, his attorneys had mentioned, obviously at the high level vernacular, they really broke down how he should have immunity because he's the president, current president of Venezuela, right? It's kind of like, remember about a year ago, the Supreme Court, they ruled that Donald Trump pretty much has immunity, and pretty much he can, as they say, get away with murder, right? I mean, that has restrictions, and that's at a high level. I'm just speaking loosely, and that's an old phrase, just a phrase. Okay, so the judge went through the process and said, listen, this is when we're going to arraign him. And they would have the sheriff to arraign him. So that was a process, quite interesting. And Maduro went on to explain that his attorney had loosely mentioned the indictment, but he had not had a chance. He had only received that indictment in his hands today. And he pretty much waived because the judge was like, hey, listen, I'll read this indictment to you. But he said, no, I'd rather read it myself. His wife pretty much said exactly, I mean, she was like the mirror image of him when the judge went through the process with her. He didn't really state everything that he had stated to Maduro. He just basically said, did you acknowledge this that I said to your husband, so forth and so on. And she was on top of her game. It seemed like she knew just what to say in regards to the matter as well. So the deputy arraigned him. And again, he says, I am Nick Maduro. Um, he says, I have partially spoken with my attorney. Okay. And I have not read it personally. So that's the indictment. So he made it seem like he was really getting the full of the indictment from the judge at that moment. But he also says this. Now, pay attention to what he said. And I'm speaking, I'm paraphrasing and telling you what I thought I heard. He says, I'm innocent. I'm not guilty of anything here. Okay. And his wife, when asked certain questions, because the judge had to remind him and say, listen, when you're asked this question about being guilty or not guilty, I only want a yes or no, not all of the other verbiage that he was giving, right? Because it would definitely taint the pool. And I'm going to just step outside of this little conversation that I'm having with you guys. And I'm just going to tell you something from my observation, just my opinion. It is not gold or anything that you can write a book about. But I think this is where it gets really sticky. In New York, right? I've been to Donald Trump's trial and I observed the jury there. And I had actually posted on my Facebook, I said, listen, they're going to throw the book at Donald Trump. He's going to walk away with 34 felonies. And guess what? He walked away with those 34 felonies. In the case of Sean Diddy Combs, the jury, I think if you look at the documentary, I think the girl explains it well. They overcharged him so much so that the jury was in overload. In fact, when they had sent the jury out to try to figure out Sean Diddy Combs' case, they came back within 2 hours and they said that one of the jurors refuses to follow the judge's instructions. And we later found out that he was a scientist, probably around 52 years old. Okay. So immediately after hearing all of this about a RICO, and I mean, they really overdid it with Sean Diddy Combs, so much so that they're painting this picture that he was John Gotti or something of the sort, right? And the jury's like, no, this is just a guy that likes to do his freak offs and he likes to take drugs. And then on top of that, Sean Diddy Combs admitted that he was beating women. He made a lot of mistakes and he was sorry for it. And because of the way they charged him and they overdid it, Sean Diddy Combs walked away from the three main charges. And I think they gave him those final two just to give him something. That's just my observation. I was in the main courtroom every day for 9 weeks. I was also there when they chose the jury. That's how much commitment I made to this trial, traveling 1.5 hours every day, leaving at 3 o'clock in the morning. I attended that trial. I said all that to say this: when it comes to the Maduro trial, I think it's very hard. They're going to have to do a damn good job in convincing regular New Yorkers that you had the right to go and get a president of another country. Now, they have to establish, because the United States is saying, "Oh, he's not a real president." Okay. And that sounds good, right? But you have regular people just like you and I, and sometimes, as we learned with Sean Diddy Combs, it doesn't always go that way. Even when it comes to Luigi Mangione, Erica Kirk says that she's watching intently to see how that trial goes, right? Because they're worried about the juries, number one, being tainted. There's so many skeptics about Sean Diddy Combs' jury. So I'm just telling you, it's very complicated. And now you have to get New York State citizens to come to a conclusion that this man acting as a president for 14 years, right? Now, I know what you're saying. You're following the talking points that you get from the media, and that's you have the right to do that. But I'm just telling you, as I watch these jurors, I'm no longer convinced that you can pick and choose or come to a rational decision about which way they're definitely going to choose when it comes to guilty or not guilty. And they're going to have to do a mighty good job at convincing them, because this man is making these statements. And if he make them in court, it might be damning when he keeps saying, listen, I was kidnapped. You know, you and I might come to a conclusion right off the bat and say, oh, yeah, well, whatever. You might start talking that Fox talk, or whatever Fox said. Yeah, that's what I believe, because I look at Fox every day. Oh, I'm a CNN guy. Oh, yeah, he did it, or he didn't do it. CNN, probably he did. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So this is where it's going to get real tricky to get a jury. It's not cut and dry, especially they're going to have to build this case solid against him. And the guy has such a high magnitude, and he's walking in. And what I learned from Sean Diddy Combs' case, Sean Diddy Combs was convincing to that jury. A lot of times, a couple of times, the judge had to reprimand him. Hey, stop nodding at the jury. And then you watch the documentary about Sean Diddy Combs, and what does the girl talk about? She's a juror, right? And she's one of the jurors that I had chose to go in Sean Diddy Combs' favor. So, and to see it actually play out in real life is something to behold, I must say. Okay. Steve Stop says some men are so lost with power that they lose reason. Okay, I understand that. Brian Cantrell says, Steve, she won the election. Okay, I guess you're talking about Rodriguez. Okay. All right, very good. Okay, so we're making some progress here in regards to how the day played out. So then his wife stood up and she went through the same process of being arraigned. So that's an official process that the sheriff took care of. Okay, so now here's something here that every Sunday we have Calvin Johnson come on. He's a criminal defense attorney. And then on Wednesday nights, we have Candace Kelly. She's a law professor. So I want to know what they have to say, because in this particular case, because Maduro is the president of another country. Now, we know Donald Trump and others are saying he's not legitimate. He did not win. It was sort of a rim shot type of deal where he took over, and now he's, you heard what the lady said in the video I played. The people are struggling. I'm going to show you some video now of people I interviewed. These are actually Venezuelans. You have to hear what they're saying, because it's hard for me to always trust the media. That's why I do what I do. I don't always trust what people say, because I saw in the case of Sean Diddy Combs, once the legacy media took a position, they only brought on people that would take that position. So if you didn't like Diddy, and I'm just using the hypothetical of channel 121, we're going to call it 121. If you didn't like Diddy and 121 loved Diddy, they wouldn't bring you on. All right. They always brought on people who built the narrative because from day one, they hated Sean Diddy Combs and they wanted to find people that would get up there and talk bad about Diddy all day. But the problem is you don't get a balanced view. And that's what we try to do here at Watching the World. We try to dig and get the truth. Listen, we can go to Instagram, we'll go to TikTok. I'll stop somebody on the street if we could find out what's going on. You guys see, we go right into the thick of it. We don't want to talk to the big media where these guys are paying people. And then if little Johnny wants to say that Sean Diddy Combs was a great guy because of this and that, or Donald Trump is a great guy, whatever, well, he has to write out his whole statement. And then somebody in the office got to read it. And then it has to go to legal. Then they have to pray over it, right? By the time you get that washing, you never find the truth, right? So that's why we do what we do, because we want to know what's really happening. So I'm trying to give you guys a good idea to a large extent of what was observed today in court. Now, at the end of the day, there was some exchange going on with Maduro. And so we had these guys in the audience that were sitting with me. One of them, and I actually recorded his story. I'm going to be bringing him on the channel. He was locked up. He's a regular civilian, but he went through the military court in 2019, I believe. And Maduro really put the screws to him. That's what his testimony is, right? So you had some of these individuals when they were walking Maduro out. One of the guys said something like, "In the name of the Venezuelan people, you will pay." That's what he yells out to Maduro. And then Maduro says something like, now, this is being translated to me, and no two people are saying the exact same thing. Initially, the person that sat beside me told me that Maduro says, "I'm a man of God and a prisoner of war." Someone else said, right, that he said, "I am the president of Venezuela and I'm a prisoner of war." So take it for what it's worth. You might find something true in the midst of that. You can compare notes with other channels or what have you also. And then after Maduro said that, the lady sitting next to me put her head down and she basically said F you in a Spanish type of way. That's what they told me, right? We're going to bring her on. She's going to be on the channel. We'll ask her, what did she say to him? Now, keep in mind that while we're in court, some of the officers are no nonsense, right? So immediately when these people, because they told us right from the jump, while you're in court, don't say anything to Maduro. Don't say anything to the judge. Keep your mouth shut. You know, in fact, when I sat through Sean Diddy Combs' trial, the only thing they allow you to drink is water. You can't take any soda in there. They don't want to see you eating even a mint or a chip or anything like that. So they lay out their rules and they're really tough. Like when the lady sitting next to me today, she bent forward to talk to the guy in front of her. He was like, "Lady, sit down," you know, like sit your butt down, just like a kid. She was so, you could just see her just reduced to pretty much nothing, right? But anyway, that fellow sitting in front of her, he responds to Maduro and says, "I'm also a Muslim man of God." So let's run through this again. A guy to the back of me says, "In the name of the Venezuelan people, you will pay," right? And then Maduro, now he's walking out of the courtroom and, you know, they're about to put the shackles back on him and his wife. Maduro says, "I'm a man of God. I'm the president of Venezuela and I'm a prisoner of war." So this is what I keep trying to tell you guys. In the trial, he keeps saying things like that. It's going to be a problem. He keeps saying, I'm kidnapped. I'm a prisoner of war. They took me. I was eating my Cheetos and they pulled me away from the table. And then there's some explaining to do. Maybe his wife had a hard fall, but her face was dramatically bruised, so much so that because there's a lot of people there that are in support of Maduro. Do not get it twisted. And we had Antifa there today. I'm out there so much that I can identify the guys. I don't have any smoke with you, Antifa guys. You guys know I'm covering stories. I'm not in your business, anybody else's business, but it is what it is. Okay. Um, so let's get to a couple other things here. But that was basically the end of the day. And Maduro also asked if he could keep his notes because he was working on his case intently. So he wanted to keep his notes. Now, keep in mind, for those of you that are just coming in, we have over 1,100 people here, close to 1,200 on YouTube and another 500 on Twitter or X. Thank you guys for all the support. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. But right from the beginning, Maduro walked into the courtroom and he said, "Happy New Year." He also says Happy New Year on the video where you see him shackled and walking with the DEA. When I tell you there were so many DEA officers there today, I didn't see them all in the courtroom, but they were everywhere. And then they had guys there that looked like they were Navy SEALs that literally looked like they could just break a car in half. I've never seen guys quite like that before. Tall guys, strong, just, looked like they were ready to go to war. It was so heavy in there today. I think people were fascinated. And then also when we went to Sean Diddy Combs' trial, it was a lot of people there, but it was so many people there today. I've never seen the liking at any of the courthouses here in New York City. And I think it says a lot because a lot of these people that attended today were from different parts of the world. And it'll be quite interesting how this all plays out when it goes to trial, because I can imagine this trial is going to be tough. It's going to be hard to get in there, but it's not all what you hear in the media. I would say you have to take everything with a grain of salt and do your research and also think twice about some of the things that you're led to believe. I'm going to pull up a video and show you guys some of the footage from today that I took, right? And I hope you guys can really pay attention to what the Venezuelan people have to say about their country. I think that's the key ingredient here, because you can hear what Americans say all day and people from here and there and everywhere. But I really wanted to get to the people who actually live in that country and actually went without. So it's very important, folks. Let's get to it. So basically, I'm going to show you what we have is on the right-hand side, we have the native Venezuelans, and then on the left, we have Antifa, okay? So I'm going to show you the distinction of that and how it gets out of control. I saw people getting popped upside the head for running their mouths. It was so crazy. The police eventually had to shut everything down, but let's get to it. Okay, on the right-hand side where you see the flags, those are the Venezuelans. And then you see the gates there, the people right across where they're yelling and pointing at each other. That's the guys from Antifa, and it was getting out of control.
Just did some street interviews.
Okay, so these people, you see the officer here in the blue, all these individuals behind him, you see the flags, they're all Venezuelans.
That's why I recognize it. I can't remember where it was.
Okay, so when you see individuals with their heads wrapped in scarves, you see the guy there with the white scarf around his head. A lot of them have red scarves checked in with black. A lot of them could be Antifa. I'll put it that way. So the police officer in the back is right in the middle. He's right in the thick of it. They're trying to divide these individuals. It makes you think it's by design, but maybe they just put up the gates in between these individuals because they saw the mini war going on. But it's hard for me to believe, like, how did they know to have them divided right down the middle? And it's so organized. Yes, this is in Manhattan, New York at 500 Pearl Street in New York City. I cover these type of trials, and I'm covering this week, Friday, I'll be covering Luigi Mangione. Monday, I'll be covering L.A. Reid. He's being sued. It's going to be a big case with him. So I have a lot of cases to cover. I'm also going out to Utah to cover Tyler Robertson on the 19th. He's the one that allegedly unalived Charlie Kirk, guys. But let's get back to this. This is America, people. This is what's happening right on the streets of New York. There's so much division. And this is why we try to come together, even though we have Republicans and Democrats. We try to have a meeting of the minds.
People don't love America. These people don't love themselves. Look at where he stands. Look at he's confused. This kid's confused right now. He's confused. Look at he's confused. These kids are confused.
Nobody says there's anything wrong with Antifa. Let's get that right. Let's get it straight. We're talking about breaking this down for you. Now, I'm not sure if you're responding to someone in the audience, but let's just be clear. So you guys get the idea. So I'm going to take you to 32 minutes here, 32:25. Oh, just saw myself on the video. Okay, so 32:25. Here we go. This gentleman here was kind enough to break it down for us. Let's get to it. He's going to be coming on the channel, guys, so stay tuned. I'm going to be bringing on quite a few individuals from Venezuela to help you understand the real truth of the matter.
You speak English? Are you Venezuelan? Can you answer a few questions?
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. Tell us what brings you here today.
We are here to support each other in this big step. This is very big for us. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
So, guys, Openings that's in the audience had asked me to go out and speak to Venezuelans. So, Openings, you got what you wanted for, and you're here for it. So, let's get to it. Thank you. All right, and you're Venezuelan, correct?
Yes.
All right.
I am 25 years old. I lived 21 years in Venezuela. I've been living
Yes, this is right in front of the courthouse, right in front.
in the U.S. for the past 4 years.
What is it like to live in Venezuela under Maduro?
There is really no living. There's just surviving. We suffer political persecution.
Yo estuve en Irak. Los americanos nos interesados van a destruir el país.
Everyone has their opinions. That's what I like about this country, that there's freedom of speech. So you can say what you think and no suffer.
Guys, take a moment, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We could definitely use to get the likes up. We're not getting too many likes, so please help us out with that. Thank you.
Persecution. This protest here happening today in Venezuela would not be possible. People will be thrown in jail and tortured just because expressing a different idea.
There were actually people walking around showing photos of individuals that had been tortured because they were expressing themselves trying to protest. So he's saying what they're actually doing today, expressing themselves under Maduro in Venezuela, you get arrested, and a lot of times you go missing. And in many cases, you don't even get a trial, something that the United States is actually giving Maduro.
Really?
I think people that hasn't been in that situation.
Now, I see quite a few people in the audience talking about the fact of kidnapping. Keep in mind that those were the words of Maduro that he expressed in court today, that he was innocent. He hadn't done anything wrong. He was in his own home when he was kidnapped, and that he's a prisoner of war. All right.
They don't understand. You've been your whole life with freedom of speech. You don't know what it feels like when it's taken away.
Wow. What do you hope comes out of this as far as Maduro?
Say again?
What do you hope that the outcome for this trial is?
I hope to see him doing a long
You hear that? He wants him to go away for a mighty long time.
time in jail, but it's not up to me. I'm not a judge, but I know they have proved that this guy is an assassin. He's a drug trafficker, human trafficker, and a violator of human rights. So I'm pretty sure that the judge is gonna do his job and he's gonna give him justice.
All right, thank you. Do you have some platform people can follow you on, or no?
No, I'm just a common person. I'm just a Venezuelan that is here fighting for his country, that want the best for the country and want at some point to come back and help it rebuild what Hugo Chavez destroyed, what Maduro destroyed. We are going to be the ones to bring it back up.
How do the Venezuelan people feel about Donald Trump right now?
There are mixed opinions. I'm not here to give opinions on the United States politics.
Right.
And I feel the same way about people from all over the world. If you don't really understand what the Venezuelan history and the context, you shouldn't really be giving out your opinion. So all I can say before giving an opinion is ask a Venezuelan first.
All right.
Try to at least understand the perspective before you have an opinion.
Man, you're amazing. This is Watching the World. A lot of people are enjoying hearing you talk. You could go on all day. I'm going to try to invite you on the channel so you can explain, all right?
Sure.
Can I get your information?
Sure.
All right, give me one. Okay, so he was kind enough to give me his information. I have it right here, and we're going to have him on the channel this weekend, guys. You definitely want to submit your questions. You can email them to me, and I'll get those questions answered for you from someone that's actually looking forward to going back to his home country and helping to rebuild. Isn't that so amazing? We're going to take a quick break from this. I'm going to take you back to the original video of the lady who stopped me to tell me her story in regards to this matter. So I want to go back here for a moment. And then you guys hang tight. We're going to go back to some more testimonies from Venezuelans. You don't want to miss it.
No have food, no have only chicken 1 month.
All right, let's see what we have here. Maduro out. Okay, thank you.
The popular people is hungry, no have food.
I want to take a moment. Let's go through some of the comments. We haven't done that tonight. Let's get to it real quick here. Try to get as many as I can. See who's making good sense here. All right, Candy says, Williams Durson, I reduced my tenant to rent by what his prescription copay went up today. You are so right. Meds keep him moving and productive, so it's my interest to do so. Okay, must be some sort of pharmaceutical conversation. Steve says, it is funny. It is like driving in traffic. Okay. Not sure. I guess people are having their own conversations. Okay. Truth says Venezuela is one step closer to freedom, much to the dismay of American left. Okay. Thank you very much. Mashona says, don't forget to turn on your notifications and subscribe so you don't miss out on the great content. Thank you for joining. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Steve says, everyone wants my position while I'm trying to hold it steady. Okay, what position is that? We might be missing. Okay. Stella says, double tap the screen. Okay, and like the channel, share, and subscribe. Okay. Casey says, damn, Diddy probably mad because he didn't get that much attention. LOL. He ain't that important. Believe me, they didn't even have a quarter of the people that were there today for Maduro at the Diddy case. This case is probably the biggest case we've seen in quite some time. Okay. Opening says she just elected. Okay, thank you. Okay. Rodney says the same shit is happening to America and we're out here supporting other countries. Okay, good point. I can understand that. I can understand it. Okay. Brian Cantrell says Maduro, not a man of God. More people happy than upset. Okay. That's the spirit that I was getting from individuals that I was speaking with, that 80% of them are on the side against Maduro and are happy for potential freedom. And they're not really latching on to Donald Trump, but they are happy that he took some measures here. Sherry Davis says that's horrible. Okay. Otis Ladner says kidnapping. Yes. Okay. A lot of people, I heard a lot about that today in regards to kidnapping, that he was actually kidnapped. A lot of people feel that was true. Let's get back to this video. I'll start it over. Thank you. Okay, let's see what we have here. Maduro out. Okay. Thank you.
The popular people is hungry. No have food. No have only chicken 1 month after 1 month.
Really?
Only rice 1 pound like this after how many months? It's not nice. He's very heavy, he's chubby, very nice.
So it seems like she's saying that he's doing quite well and heavy and everybody else is starving, eating limited chicken and rice. And we complain about America, folks. What are we doing here?
The popular people, well, garbage. Listen to you. He need to pay something yet.
Oh my.
This I know Venezuela. I am Peru. But I have a lot of friends. Venezuela, good Venezuela. This is not nice. You make a freedom.
Oh, thank you for your time. Okay, we have Mama Flips. Mama Flips is in the audience. Shout out to you. Nice to have you here. Martin says, and she was there today as well. Martin says China will never let Trump take over the oil. They have the rights to buy. Okay, that's a big discussion today I heard about too in regards to that. All right, let's get back to this other video. And I want you guys to pay attention to what this other individual had to say in regards to Venezuela.
I have too many bags here. So.
Let's see here, 39.15. Okay, let's get to it. Oh, we have Mama Flips there, it looks like. Let's see. Pay attention to what this girl says here.
We've had attacks.
Okay, we can't hear this part, so we'll go up a little bit more to where she starts. Here we go. 44.3.
Oh my God, so it's mixed emotions towards the government right now, and I know how so many, new questions arise from what happened. Yeah, it's a lot.
Hug it out.
Take it.
Did you ask a few questions?
Sorry?
Did you ask a few questions?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, tell us, are you okay with saying your name? Okay, opening says, but seriously, all jokes aside, the man who you are going to have on the show raised great points. All he seemed to practice what he preaches. Okay, thank you very much for that. Steve says, okay, it is my religion to preserve nature. Okay, let's get to this. Or no, you don't have to if you don't want to.
I mean, if it's not necessary, then no.
Not necessarily. Tell us where you're from and why you're here today. We know why, but I want to hear from you.
Of course. Well, my name is Victoria, and I'm here today because I was in my house and all of my friends text me saying that we were all celebrating about Maduro being right now in the courthouse, and then a group of people out of the blue just show up with pre-made signs celebrating, arguing that they want Maduro to go back to Venezuela and that everything that happened was illegitimate and just fighting against us. And even though I can understand, like I was talking with my friend right there, I can understand where they're coming from. I do think taking the place and position today next to us to do it is kind of like a disrespect. That's why I came here. I'm not against what they were standing against. I'm just saying that doing it next to us, it feels a little bit too controversial and a little bit too doubtful the way how they were doing it as well.
Yeah. Is it true the videos we're seeing of people in the streets of Venezuela celebrating and happy about it? Is that true, or are they protesting?
Well, I'm not in Venezuela right now, but for what I've seen with my family and my friends, I think no one is that happy outside protesting because it's so insecure. Like the government, the person that is right now in charge, which is Delcy Rodriguez, she's still the same from the same party that is in Venezuela. So I know my family is not outside in Venezuela happy protesting because they could go to jail still today. But I do know that people outside Venezuela who live under democratic countries are happy and celebrating.
So did you guys pick up the spirit of what she's saying? Is that the people can't really, even though Maduro is here in New York locked up, the people can't really be expressive and out in the street. So a lot of these videos are probably not even true. But people outside of Venezuela who perhaps moved away or live in other places like Colombia or the United States, they're the ones that are celebrating, because even still, you can't be so vocal in Venezuela.
The whole thing.
When we hear reports about people being tortured just for protesting and starving, is that true or is that just myth?
No, not a myth.
No?
That is very true. That is very true.
Today I was in court with Maduro. He came out, he looked at us, he said, "Happy New Year." He seemed like a really pleasant guy. And he said toward the end he had an exchange with someone. And the guy stood up and says, the Venezuelan people, in the name of Venezuela, you're going to get what you deserve. And he said basically that he believes in God. He's a God-fearing guy. What do you think about that?
I think that people love to weaponize religion and love to use every kind of correct moral value or correct stand you can have to justify your wrongdoings. Saying Happy New Year, talking about God, it's just irrelevant. He's just doing it to not address the real problem here. Is that even if you were doing it in the name or against God, the point here is that you were breaking human rights or whatever that means back in Venezuela, and we all saw it with our own eyes.
Mama Flips, I dropped the link. If you want to come up and talk about your day, you can come up and chat about it before I end the show. So Mama Flips, you could come in through the link if you want to talk about today.
It's not a lie. We all saw it. Everyone here fighting I have no voice because we saw it. We lived there. Yeah. So whatever he's saying inside, it's the same thing maybe Putin is saying. It's the same thing all dictators are going to say forever. I haven't seen the first dictator ever to go clean on a camera and be like, "You're right, I murdered people and tortured people." They will never say that.
She's making solid points, right?
They will always try to weaponize whatever can make them be liked for whoever they can. And I think we're seeing that in American reality right now. You're seeing people in power using religion also to weaponize their own stand. So I don't know. I don't really know about religion, but I do know they just use it whenever it's convenient for them.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate having you today.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you, love. Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, it was kind of tough hearing what she was saying, so I'm going to run that back, guys, so just bear with me here. I want to play that again. You really have to pay attention to what she's saying. Mama Flips, if you'd like to come up, feel free to do so. Let's run this back here. See that. Now, Mama Flips was explaining, I could show you a little bit. She was explaining that Black people basically have their own plight. I guess there was some, I'd rather her come up and explain it, but they were having a discussion about that, so I won't chop it up. But I guess they were trying to make a comparison of Black people in America, and the argument was basically that you can't really compare Black people because they're trying to find their place too. I think that's what I was hearing, but I don't want to misspeak here, so let's see if we can get Mama Flip to come on. But anyway, let's go through this one more time.
Oh my God. So there's the same mixed emotions with the government right now, and I know how so many, questions arise from what happened here. It's a lot.
Did you ask a few questions?
Sorry?
Did you ask a few questions?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Tell us, are you okay with saying your name or no? You don't have to if you don't want to.
I mean, if it's not necessary, then no.
Not necessarily. Tell us where you're from and why you're here today. We know why, but I want to hear from you.
Of course. Well, my name is Victoria, and I'm here today because I was in my house and all of my friends text me saying that we were all celebrating about Maduro being right now in the courthouse, and then a group of people out of the blue just show up with pre-made signs celebrating, arguing that they want Maduro to go back to Venezuela and that everything that happened was illegitimate and just fighting against us. And even though I can understand, like I was talking with my friend right there, I can understand where they're coming from. I do think taking the place and position today next to us to do it is kind of like a disrespect. That's why I came here. I'm not against what they were standing against. I'm just saying that doing it next to us, it feels a little bit too controversial and a little bit too doubtful the way how they were doing it as well.
Yeah. Is it true the videos we're seeing of people in the streets of Venezuela celebrating and happy about it? Is that true? Or are they protesting?
Well, I'm not in Venezuela right now.
Yeah.
But for what I've seen with my family and my friends, I think no one is that happy outside protesting because it's so insecure. Like the government, the person that is right now in charge, which is Delcy Rodriguez, she's still the same from the same party that is in Venezuela. So I know my family is not outside in Venezuela happy protesting because they could go to jail still today. But I do know that people outside Venezuela who live under democratic countries are happy and celebrating the whole thing.
When we hear Mama Flips, I text you the link, so feel free to come on the show and tell everybody your experience in court today, which is probably quite different than mine, or you could expound on it differently. Thank you. Reports about people being tortured just for protesting and starving.
Yeah.
Is that true or is that just myth?
No, not a minute.
No?
That is very true. That is very true.
Today I was in court with Maduro. He came out, he looked at us, he said, Happy New Year. He seemed like a really pleasant guy. And he said toward the end, he had an exchange with someone, and the guy... Okay, we have Mama Flips here. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you okay. What's happening?
Okay, great. I'm on the bus, and I'm getting off in about 5 minutes, but I wanted to come up to answer your questions while I'm on the bus. If you can hear me.
Oh, okay. All right. You say you want to ask questions or you want to answer questions?
No, I want to answer your questions. You asked me a question.
Okay.
I can talk about the conversation with the young lady if you like.
All right. So let's go back to Maduro. What was your thoughts about his exchanges in court and so forth?
I mean, I thought his exchanges was, depending on what side you are, I think that he's trying to be dignified and he's trying to make it clear from the very beginning. Once the judge asked his name, he wanted to make it clear that he acknowledged the fact that he was the president, or currently the president of Venezuela, and that he was nabbed by out of his home and brought here to the United States. It is against the sovereign's law and the rules. So I think that's what he was pushing, that narrative. He mentioned, I think that you mentioned that he hasn't read the indictment paper yet. It hasn't been read to him and he wants to take the time. But I think he really wants to push in his defense follow-up to specifically say that they're trying to question the legality of the arrest. And he's pushing that he was president of Venezuela and it shouldn't have happened. But I think the thing that caught me off guard, and a lot of people caught off guard, I'm not sure, I know you mentioned it briefly, was the fact that the First Lady mentioned the lawyer and the First Lady spoke and said that she didn't get medical services. She wanted to see a doctor. And that actually, got a reaction from the people in my room, because I was in the overflow room, and it got a reaction from me, because it just goes to show against the negligence of people being incarcerated. Why is it that she came to the court with bruises, and she is now currently requesting to see a medical doctor and get an x-ray because she thinks that something happened to her ribs? I mean, why would that even be a conversation? She should have been brought to the doctor almost immediately. And I felt that the judge when he first opened up, he specifically said that my job here is to make sure that the defendants or the people that's in front of me get a fair trial and get treated properly. I remember him saying that. So I think, she felt that though the defense would have asked for the doctor to see her, but I think they felt more comfortable because the judge made it a point to say that he's there to make sure that they get a fair treatment and a fair trial.
Okay, all right, very good. What did you think about the crowd?
The crowd was insane. Now, I've been there several times. I put in a chat. Have you attended the various protests between MAGA and Antifa, MAGA and other protesters in New York? Have you been to those protesters since 2016? Have you been to a few of them?
Yes, yes, I have.
Okay, so yeah, so because you mentioned the technique as far as separating, putting the barricade, they do that a lot of time, and I know it's specifically done when it appears that specifically when they have opposing people there. That's how they separate them. So I thought it was insane. Initially, I didn't know it was you that told me that some of the people that's there may be Antifa. I didn't know. I never knew pretty much the differences. I always thought it was young people yelling about their various injustice. But I did find it interesting that it seemed like It seems to me that certain Venezuelans
We can't really hear you anymore. So we yeah, we can't hear you anymore. All right, so we're gonna go back to the we can't hear you. Okay, all right. So we're gonna go back to the video until she gets squared away, guys. Give me one moment here. Stood up and says, the Venezuelan people, in the name of Venezuela, you're gonna get what you deserve. And he said basically that he believes in God. He's a God-fearing guy. What do you think about that?
I think bad people love to weaponize religion and love to use every kind of correct moral value or correct stand you can have to justify your wrongdoings. Saying Happy New Year, talking about God, it's just irrelevant. He's just doing it to not address the real problem here. Is that even if you were doing it in the name or against God, the point here is that you were breaking human rights or whatever that means back in Venezuela, and we all saw it with our own eyes. It's not a lie. We all saw it. Everyone here fighting I have no voice is because we saw it, we lived there. So whatever he's saying inside, it's the same thing maybe Putin is saying. It's the same thing all dictators are gonna say forever. I haven't seen the first dictator ever to go clean on a camera and be like, you're right, I murdered people and tortured people. They will never say that. They will always try to weaponize whatever can make them be liked for whoever they can. And I think we're seeing that in America reality right now. You're seeing people in power using religion also to weaponize their own stand. So I don't know. I don't really know about religion, but I do know they just use it whenever it's convenient for them.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate having you today.
Thank you so
You're
much.
amazing. Thank you, love. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. All right, so we're going to have her on the channel too. So we have so many people from Venezuela to chat with. But pretty much that gives you an idea what happened in court today. We've had, let's see here, roughly over an hour of breakdown and looking at some of the video that was taken today. There was a lot of hostility out there. Did you see all the middle fingers going up in the air? Was it Wasn't that insane? Okay, Uncommon Woman said she'd make a great attorney. Are you talking about the young lady here or Mama Flips? Which one are you talking about? Okay, Robert says capture the flag doesn't work and changing the government automatically. Trump should have figured that out on January the 6th when he tried it. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, hit the like button, share, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for all the support. We had a lot of people come through tonight, record numbers, so that's a good thing. Okay, Uncommon is talking about the young lady. She should be an attorney. When she comes on the channel, make sure you tell her that, and I will too. Okay, T. Godwin says, listen to those who lived it. And when we listen to those that lived it, they tell horrible stories about what happened. Okay. All right. Openings. Guys, we want to thank him because he's the reason why I really went out and was very deliberate about interviewing as many of the Venezuelans as I could. Okay. So let's see here. What do you guys think in regards to Donald Trump and this power move? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with what happened with Maduro. Put a 2 if you feel like it was a terrible thing. Tell us what you think. 1 if you agree with it, or 2 if you disagree with what happened with Maduro and his wife. Okay, Brian says he agrees with it. Okay, all right. All right. Vado says no. Okay, mostly ones. Okay, Watchful 1, Chop and Teddy 1. Okay, Milo 1. Tom says no 2. Okay, Michonne agrees with it. Okay, Denise. Okay, all right. Seems like Mama Flip is back. So let's see what she has to say. I think she's in a quiet place now. Let's get to it.
I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I apologize. Do you know where I left off?
Nope, we don't know, but you can jump right back in. It's double Dutch season. Let's go.
So what I was saying is that I think probably my concern was the fact that did you hear the part where I said I felt a concern that the former first lady, and she called herself that, was medically hurt. I think you mentioned the fact that she was hurt, and they did not take her to a medical facility, and apparently she wants to have a doctor check out her ribs. I thought that was very surprising for me to hear, because I'm like, when you arrest someone and they have been hurt, it just shows the way we deal. I'm sorry, my shirt is all over the place. The way that we deal with detainees in America, because I would think that if you see someone, whether you think that they're a criminal or not, they're hurt, that you should take them to the doctor. So I think that had a massive reaction in our overflow room. People was like, okay, people were surprised, like, really? Like, you guys didn't even take her to the doctor. She had the request from the judge to go to the doctor. I also mentioned the fact that I felt that the judge, when he first came in, he made sure to inform everybody that he is here to conduct a fair trial and to make sure that the defendant get their rights during his trial. So he read them the Miranda rights again and tell them there's certain things they could do. And they talked to Maduro, waived his rights to have the indictment read to him. I think you probably mentioned all that. So as far as Maduro, I felt that he's trying to come across as presidential. He mentioned the fact that he is the president of a sovereign state and that he was illegally taken. I think that we mentioned that also. And I think that the lawyer that's going to be the lawyer's defense. They're going to actually fight the legality of the arrest. You also mentioned what I thought about the people outside. I didn't know until we spoke that the opposing sides was, I guess, identifies that as Antifa. I thought it was actually pro Mandor against co- um people who was against Mandura, right? Manduro, I probably mispronounced his name. But as time, because I did see a few Latino people on the side of what you identified as Antifa talking to the other side, right? And it was especially one Latino guy that was getting into it with another Latino guy. really intensely, where the hands movements and stuff like that. So that happened. So I thought the crowd was like wow, and I agree with you. Today was a much bigger crowd in the pre-trial hearing than was Diddy. Diddy also had a big crowd and certain days when because they wanted to see their family, so they had a big crowd. But I don't think I was there for the pre-trial, the bail hearing for Diddy, and there was nobody outside except for a handful of us. But today it was massive. I think I also mentioned that the police officer in NYPD, because there are opposing sides, especially when it comes to MAGA community versus everyone else, they automatically put those brackets to separate the two parties. But people was crossing over, and as you said, it got very intense. And how I got involved in one of the conversations that I felt that, and it always irked me, and it happens in all of these protests, that the male protesters from the opposing side, and unfortunately, a lot of them are MAGA supporters, wants to identify the women that's protesting, and they get very insulting and threatening. Now, I know you're here to argue with people, but you're not going to threaten a woman, especially if I'm standing there. And once they removed, there was this one guy. Once they removed the bracket, the lady they kept on calling her coward, giving her the finger, talking about her mom. And they said, "Remove your mask." She removed her mask to show her face, and she was talking to them. And so she was talking out loud and probably yelling at them because everybody was conversing. I'm sorry, I'm just keep fixing my shirt. So once they removed the barricade because they were trying to dismantle, this one guy stepped towards her and said, "Oh, you're not screaming now." So I stepped in. I'm like, "So what are you gonna do about it? So what's happening?" And then he became offended. He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "You stepped across her." He's like, "Oh, I wasn't gonna do anything." I said, "Let me give you some game. You see, what you did is triggering. What you did is aggression. I mean, you don't step towards a woman and say, 'What are you going to do?'" Oh, I wasn't yelling at her. I said, "You don't have to yell at her for you to come across as intimidating." So I had several conversations like that. But at the end of the day, a lot of the male protesters, even some of the female protesters, are very angry at the opposing view because they believe that Americans are don't understand their plight. And I got into it really into one guy that he I think he understood me, but not quite. And that's how I met the young lady that you spoke to. Me and him got into it because I actually, it wasn't even me and him. It was another guy that was with him that spoke to a black male who had a reporter and said that you have privilege. You're American, you have privilege. I'm like, yo. I say, wait. I said, you can't tell a black man in America that he has privilege, right? So the guy continued to speak to the black male, but the other guy who heard me say, "Oh yeah, he has privilege. He's American because he could eat." I'm like, yo, that's not how it works in America. You can't tell a black male that he has privilege in America when that's all we've been fighting for our own life, our whole life, especially a black man been fighting for equal rights. There's not such thing as being black and being privileged in America. I said, "You're using the wrong term." He said, "Well, are you eating? My people are starving in Venezuela. Are you eating?" I said, "Most of us can't afford food." He said, "I don't believe you." I said, "What do you mean you don't believe us? I'm telling you, most of us can't afford it because the food." He said, "How do I have proof?" I said, "Go to the grocery stores. You can see how expensive grocery store is." But at the end of the day, we're arguing a wrong point. At the end of the day, black men does not have privilege in America. He's like, "Well, my people are hungry." I said, "Okay, so let's reverse it." I said, "I have aunts in Haiti." I said, "Do you know Haiti?" He said, "Well, I don't care." I said, "You see, I can't have this conversation with you because you don't care." And then that's when the young lady was like, "Oh yes, but I care." I'm sorry. I said, "Well, if he, because I'm not sure if he could hear me or understand everything I'm saying, but I'm saying to him, I have two aunts that's currently in Haiti. Haiti is now being held by gangs, right? Where my aunts are being told when they could leave the house and not leave the house, and we have to send money, sneak money into Haiti so they could eat. They're starving in Haiti too." I said, "So we understand here in America, especially people like us who knows that our family is suffering, we understand what the Venezuelan people wants. And the Venezuelan people are happy. However, we in America are not happy with what Trump did." And that's when me and the young lady had the long talk that you videotaped, and we were talking. I was talking to her, and she felt, and she heard me, and I heard her, and she said, "We're very happy." And I said, "The American people are happy for you too. We get it, but we don't want." we don't want a half of us, at least half of us, did not want Donald Trump to actually go into Venezuela, pick up their label, and I call him label president because a lot of people don't want me to say that he's a legitimate president, but I say he held the label of president. We don't want Donald Trump to go there and pick up a president and bring the president here in the United States, and especially bring the president in New York, where we are the target of many various harmful acts by other people. I said what he did was dangerous, and it also set a precedent. So this is where we are in America, whereas people could be happy for you that you guys have your freedom, but we don't like his method. And she said she understood what I was saying. She understood, and she said, she's sorry, about my aunt and stuff like that. And I said, I'm sorry. And then we ended up hugging each other because it was a good conversation. But this is the thing that's happening. Like a lot of people here, a lot of Venezuela, and I'm hearing also that not everybody's happy about what Donald Trump did. I'm hearing that. I haven't seen it, but I did hear in the crowd that some people was like, not everybody's happy about the way he did it.
Do you
They're
think
happy with removing Maduro, but they're not happy with what Trump did.
do you think it's okay for the president to be able to send the military and go and take a president of another country, whether they feel he's legitimate or not,
No.
and bring him and put him in federal?
No, I don't think it's right at all. And I've been saying it all weekend. What he did was wrong. And no one could convince me otherwise. Because I go back and forth several times. I said, first of all, I knew that it was wrong, right? Even as a black woman in New York, it's wrong to attack another president. We know that. Even in high school, in college, elementary school, you will learn that in history. If that was the case, and for many years, one president would be unaliving another president, right? We also know nationally the United Nations has a law, a sovereign's law, that says you can't attack leaders. So I go back. If people wants to talk about how Donald Trump did an amazing job with Venezuela, then what are we talking about Putin and Zelensky? You know how many times Putin threatened to unalive Zelensky or take a Zelensky, and the United Nations, the people said that you try it if you want to. You try if you want to, then it's going to be on and popping. And Putin hasn't done it. He wants to do it, right? China and Taiwan, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing the country wrong. They want to take over the presidency there. So if we're saying it's okay for Trump to do it in Venezuela, so the next step is who's going to do it next? And in my opinion, if MAGA care about anything at their own word, don't come to us when somebody try the same thing with Trump, because right now a lot of people is calling him a war criminal. Right? That's what they're calling him. So if a country decides that they want to take him out and do, come and get him, and the people I've been speaking to all weekend, especially the MAGA big proud boys, the big amazing MAGA males are talking about, oh, we are strong in America. Nobody's gonna come here. We have the biggest, most powerful military. And I'm like, yo, so y'all forgot about 9/11? So everybody forgot. Everybody conveniently forgot. I said, I lived through 9/11. I was here when the building dropped. I almost unalived that day. So y'all forgot about 9/11? You forgot what could actually happen? What about when he's traveling back and forth international? He's going to bring the whole United States military, the war, the jets, the what, to keep him safe? What about his family? So I even mentioned it to the young lady. I said, what is the precedent now after this has happened? You understand? He didn't think about it. Also, another thing that really gets me, and this is why I think the Venezuelan people are not saying, a lot of them is not saying thank you to Trump. The people that are saying thank you to Trump are the mega supporters are saying thank you to Trump. A lot of Venezuela keeps saying, just like the young lady, oh, we don't want to talk about the politics in America. So they don't want to thank the devil, but they want to say they're happy with what the devil did. And I'm finding that to be a lot of things, because I'd be like, okay, so what do you think of Trump? I don't want to talk about Trump. Oh, I don't particularly like him, but Maduro had to go. I mean, so you're willing to allow someone who you don't like, who you don't respect, who you think is doing horrible in America to take away your problem. So it's a very, like she said, like I said, it's a very complicated situation that we are here, and a lot of people are also afraid of war. So, it's a lot. It's a whole lot now. So, yeah.
Did you notice when the attorney for Maduro basically said that because he's the president, he should have immunity?
I didn't hear him say immunity, but I did hear what the defense attorney said, that we are going to seek every, and the judge kept on stopping them because he said this is not where, I need to hear this argument, but we're going to seek every avenue to bring to this, to show the legal, the legal problems, I'm not saying the word properly, of him being taken from his home and brought to the United States. So I didn't hear the immunity part, but I did find interesting, Mel, that they have not asked for bail yet. I don't think they're going to be able to get him bail, but I thought it would be the first thing that they would actually do. And they're right now saying that no, the both the wife and the former president said that they are waiving their right to submit a bail request at this time. So I found that to be interesting, So I think they really are trying, and of course he said he's innocent of all the charges, but I think they're really going to really concentrate on the legality of the actions and the breaking of the United Nations international law. They're going to really go that route in order to get the case probably dismissed or dropped before even go to court, to be honest with you. I think that's where to put it. That's what I got from the conversation today. So I didn't hear the immunity, but I did hear what the defense lawyer was saying, that it wasn't legal to take him out of his own country.
Okay. Donald Trump says basically to the president of Colombia and some of these other countries, if you don't get your cards in order, you could be next. What do you think about that?
I think he's a joke, to be honest with you. I hope that he would continue to try that because somebody else is going to use the same method in the United States of America. You understand what I'm saying? We didn't put this man. I know a lot of people think he's the Messiah, but we didn't put this man in there to go and take out other world leaders and bring them to the United States of America. You understand? There's been other incidents where people, I mean, different presidents went after evil dictators and stuff like that. We know that, but this one over here wants to be extra. So I want to see him continue try it, and then we'll see what happened next.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any
Oh, I
other
did want to
points?
say something. I did want to say something about the Venezuela people. Another thing that I noticed, that a lot of people that was talking about the fact that they are happy. They are happy that Maduro is no longer there, even if it means they no longer have the control of the oil. Many of the people that I spoke to over the weekend has not said that Donald Trump did it for the Venezuelan people, which is very interesting for me. Is also, he didn't say it, as far as I know, he did not say that he did it for the Venezuelan people. He said that he did it in order because the person was did harm to the United States because of rugs, because of pew pew and stuff like that. He said that. He didn't say he did the Venezuelan people. And I have yet to hear, and I haven't heard it today, I don't know if you have, of them pushing the narrative that, yeah, he did it for us, he did this to give us freedom. I have not heard that. I'm waiting to see if that narrative start getting pushed out there. But it seemed like everybody's like, well, we don't care. We don't care. We know he does horrible things and stuff like that. But so did Maduro. So one bad guy took another bad guy out. This is what I'm getting out of the conversation from my end.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other points from today you want to share before we close out?
No, thank you for bringing me on. I was just texting on the chat, just letting you know what I saw today.
Well, that's all right. All right. Did your heart go out to his wife at all? Did you see her face or no?
I didn't see her face because I was in the overflow room. But I know, because I don't know if they're guilty or not, but I know how to feel about people that I consider bad people. But even in the case of bad, wicked people, especially when it comes to women, maybe just because I am one, I would think, and also with the fact that I know about incarceration and how the police are able to treat black and brown people and stuff like that. So I know that a lot of us was unalive during arrest. And I also know what the ICE agents are doing right now as far as taking and dragging and throwing women who are pregnant and kneeling on their back. There's been so many stories. So when I heard that they actually, the military person, whether it was the military, the police officers, actually pretty much manhandled, because I'm sure she was fighting and stuff like that. So they wanted to get on control, that they manhandled her and they hurt her. I wasn't surprised about that point. What I was surprised about was the fact that they didn't get get medical services. And they not only did they, I guess I didn't expect the military to do it, but the fact is that she's already been incarcerated. I don't know if she's at the Metropolitan House either, but why is it that she's been there since the 3rd? What, and today's the 5th? Why hasn't she seen a prison doctor? Why has she been taken to the hospital? So it's not, I think it's less to do with empathy, because I don't know if she's as evil as they say she is, but more to do with common decency. Even the worst piece of crap. I mean, even, not no disrespect to my mother, mega brothers and sisters. When Donald Trump almost unalive as COVID, even he got coverage. Even he was saved in the hospital. Even he was taken to the hospital. And a lot of people, even the people that didn't like him, was in pins and needles to see what happened to him in COVID. So even the devil should get the medical coverage. So why would they not take this woman who's hurt, who you could see the bruises? Apparently, you could see the bruises on her face, to the doctor. I thought that was crazy to me. So that really, really upset me, and also upset, I believe, some of the reporters in the room that was with me, because they were like, what harm would it be to take her to the doctor or have a prison hospital look at her? So that, I think that's the whole thing is shocking to me. um as far as everything else, we're just going to see what happened. I always want to make sure that I'm careful. I'm not careful with my words, but I want to make sure I'm happy for the Venezuelan people. I'm happy for anybody who's been oppressed. I don't like the way it's been done. And there's nothing that anybody going to convince me to tell me that Donald Trump did the right thing. Because right now we set up a new precedent that has never been crossed. And now we are less safe as a result of what Donald Trump did. And anybody who think that America and Donald Trump and everybody else we're so big and bad and so brave that nobody could come get us, do not remember 9/11. They don't remember 9/11, how helpless a lot of us felt when those buildings fell. And because a lot of people wants to forget, they want to move on. But many of us, we learn from our experience. And I talk about that all the time. When we're older, we learn from the experience, a lot of us, and we know what can happen next. But a lot of people are delusional. They're living in the Lulu world, and they're gonna learn at the end of the day. So yeah, this is not good. I'm happy for the Venezuelan people, but we put ourselves in another whole different nasty bag of doo-doo. And that's all I have to say. I land my plane.
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate having you on today.
Thank you.
Look
Okay,
forward
bye.
to having you back on Thursday night,
Yes.
correct?
See you
All right.
Thursday.